Everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you a quick update on these kind of prototype test things I was building before. I added some blocks to both 1 and 2 over here, trying to figure out what I'm just going to do with these builds, if anything. And number 1 over here is basically turning into like a creel kind of thing. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. It is kind of would be more of a ship that would be in space. It would probably actually be best suited for like a Creel OPV or something like that. At least what I'm thinking about right now. But then again, I don't think you would want any launchers on an OPV because I don't believe they work. I think only turrets will work on an OPV. This one here, which probably had the most amount of people putting comments about it. I have a lot of issues with this ship. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to set it up with especially like thrusters and where the bridges and everything like that. And I was kind of tooling with the idea of maybe putting the bridge up front. I think it would look good there. It would feel fitting. And this back section here was kind of like the idea of building some kind of raised control tower kind of bridge towards the back portion of the ship. And I didn't really like that, at least with a ship this size and things. Big problem I've got with this design, especially from where it migrated from before, is thruster placement. It's just not a very good ship to place thrusters on. So what I started doing was building out like these much wider areas here, and in hopes of maybe like sticking like a reverse thruster here and some lift thrusters, strafing thrusters, and things like that over in this general region of the ship. Now right now I stuck in a strafing thruster here and down thrusters here, but a big issue I've got with those placements are they're very close to where the center of mass would be on this ship, which means that your substats like pitch, yaw, and roll wouldn't be very good on this. So it would be kind of like one of those creations that would benefit a lot from RCS to compensate for where the thruster placements are. And I don't really like to do that because RCS use CPU and things like that. And I'd rather have better thruster placements and not deal with that. I want all the CPU I can muster up to add to the type of ship this is, being a combat ship. So, you know, if I don't put the RCS in it, I can get more guns or shields or thruster power or all kinds of different other things going on it, and I'd rather use that for those kinds of things as opposed to RCS. And then when I started building this, and especially when I started like flaring this area out to fit some more thrusters, I started thinking that, wow, this is awfully darn close to what this thing was. In fact, this kind of had the same kind of issue, and that's why I ended up with these big thruster pods on the back side over here to hold some of those thrusters, which worked. But I just fear that this ship isn't really much different than what that is. Basically like that ship without the front door hanger or the front door opening over here. And that's really about it. Other than that, it's kind of the same thing. So I almost want to start something new today. And I just sort of started that. I figured I'd just record this. And the idea of this build is, and obviously I haven't really done anything but place a core and a few blocks here, is I kind of wanted to build try a ship that looks like more of a sailing ship, I guess you could say, but converted to space. So think like a battleship or destroyer or something like that. But I wanted to have some flares on it for some like good weapon mount points and things like that, and also make it look like a spaceship rather than a ship that would be in the water. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just figured I'd try it. It doesn't mean I'm done with these. It just means I'm kind of like annoyed with those. This third one over here I like the best, believe it or not, but I don't really have a use for this kind of ship at the moment, or it's not really what I'm wanting to build at this time. But I got this saved, and someday I would definitely like to continue on that one. Again, this one, just the layout and stuff like that on it, I was trying this idea of making it kind of look a little different and kind of industrial combat-y thing, and it's just, man, thruster placement's a nightmare on it. All right, well, anyway, enough gabbing. Let's start this here. Let me turn on some symmetry on this, and we're going to start kind of with the front of the ship, I think, on this one. I kind of want to dial that in a little bit and figure out where it's going. So let's just say we get up to about this point. We'll widen it up a little bit. Say we go to about 5 blocks here, and across the top area we're going to kind of bevel this out a bit, quite a bit actually. We've got to figure out what angle group I want to use for this. So could use this set or this set. I think I'm going to go with this set. We'll reverse this. So this would be like the underhull kind of going down there. And let's kind of build this out a little bit first. And get some of that in. I might as well get this other block out here too. Oops. There we go. And now we can just kind of keep on stealing the existing ones here. Okay, so it's not going to be all flat like this on the front. I just kind of wanted to establish where the front hull width is, and then kind of have it taper out going over there. But I definitely want to get, got to think about thrusters, weapon placements, and cosmetics while going. So it's not going to be like one of those wireframe builds, at least right now. Maybe parts of it might be done that way, but right now it's really a lot about just trying to get this thing established and see what it looks like and where to go from there, kind of thing. So I'm just build this out a little bit here. Try to get the right block. Where's the thin one? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so we built that out a little bit. This angle down here, I guess it works. Let's get that in there. And right now I'm kind of building this with steel blocks. Like this build here though, I kind of want to, it's going to have parts that are going to be in tougher blocks than steel. Probably a lot of this front end stuff, or at least backing blocks behind it. Something. I got to figure out how that's going. But if I thought about just building the whole hull with like hardened steel, but maybe that's not necessary, and it's kind of a pain in the butt swapping blocks out after the fact. All right, so we've got this lower hull. Let's say we've got a bit of a upper hull going on here. And what I'm going to do is I want to keep this kind of angled a lot. So I think I'm going to try to establish a bit of a line where this overhangs over the lower blocks by just a little bit. Maybe a half block over. Something like that. So get a couple of these in too. So we've got that around the front, which so far will probably work. Now we can go from 2 different angles too. So we've got this angle here, and maybe on this front one we'll go back over to the other angle set and kind of alter the angle, but have it go pretty much the same. So it's a little bit rounded off up here. That might work out. And actually, at the very front here, let's just have that bevel in this way. So we got just one block of kind of transition between this angle and that angle. And again, try to make this look a bit like a sailing combat ship in reality, just a little bit at least. Oop, not that block. Let's bring this out one more forward here. We're going to have to kind of angle that up as well. There, okay, so front. Alright, so right off the gates here, I already want to start thinking about some turrets and things too. So obviously right up front here, 3x3 section would be probably a really awesome place for a turret. And then that will kind of like set where future turrets can go behind it and out of the way or above it, and things like that. Let me get some kind of turret here as well. I'll just grab some baseline ones. Now I did want a good amount of launchers on it, and I kind of I was like, yeah, I look at a lot of builds with the look at the workshop and stuff too, and there was the shooty shippo, or I'm sorry, the actual shippo And I kind of like the way by Artemis Rogue, by the way. I like the way the weapons were being dealt with on that, and how much CPU it used, and all that fun stuff. And that would be kind of a neat idea. So I'm actually do want to get a number of I think these guys, these light plasma guns on here. They're not extremely expensive. The fact why I like plasma is they can shoot and hurt shields as well as the hull, which I think is kind of a really neat situation, because I don't, with launchers, you can only fire one type at a time. And if you got a type that does more than one thing, you're going to be in pretty good shape, because you don't need to like have a separate set of laser guns to take down a shield and then another set of guns to do hull damage. You can kind of do it all with one. In this case, it's kind of cheap. I don't know if I want them up front here though. Nah, we'll plan that out later. Okay, so we got a turret position here. Let's just kind of be a little bit simple with this right now. And I got rid of my steel blocks, didn't I? I hate that. I keep on screwing myself up with that. Alright, so, and then we're going to kind of want this to come back a little bit over here. Let's have it widen up a little more as well. Not sure how wide I want to go with this. I don't want this ship to be gigantic or anything like that. But, you know, it'd be nice if it was big enough to hold, you know, parts you would want to put in it. And there's a lot of different parts you can put in these things now. So let's get that going, and here, let's have that go out one more to there. And how about just one more beyond that? Okay, so let's kind of square this off a little bit here. Something like that. And now this bottom part here, there's a couple different ways to go about it. One, I could kind of keep it straight like it is. I could try to taper it so it angles in this way. But if it was an actual sailing ship of this type, it would almost actually have like this lower piece that would stick out over here that would adjust or help it go through the waves, basically. That could work out. Maybe. Let's see, what kind of blocks are in here that could be used for this? More of this stuff, but nah. Okay, well, we'll start there. And how about over here? I really do want to start thinking about launchers, though. I would like to get like about 10 of these or more potentially on it, to have a good amount of firepower for this weapon type. I think that would be kind of fun to use in game as well. But we got to kind of create some bays in here, so these things would have a good fire range, and some would be in back too, not just all up front like this. But I don't know if I should put a couple next to each other like that. It would save space and weight, as opposed to blocking them all off. But of course, if one gets popped, it'll probably take out the one next to it. Okay, so well, let's see how this goes. Okay, so here, let's do a little bit of a flare out here, and see how this is going to work out. Probably not super well, but we'll see. Let's see. Switch that block to here. What I'm actually wanting to do is to try to make sure that these are embedded into the hull, and I could cover them with blocks, kind of like this. And I got to figure out where this angle's actually going to come out at. If we did something like that. So that would come out to right there, which is pretty good. Pop that in there. And do I have any thins? Yes. Okay, so now that angle's kind of established. That'll give it kind of a housing. Obviously, it's vulnerable here from the sides. Now, something else before I go too much further, too, what I did want to do is have a section where there's a little flare out, like on the front and maybe also on the back. And that'd be, again, good opportunity to maybe on the front side mount some weapons, on the back side mount some thrusters. We'll see how that works out. So let's say trying to build up the blocks so we could have a flare out here that would look alright at least. So we got 3 in there. And what I mean by a flare out, let's go right over to the thin blocks here, or well, half blocks, not thin. Let's just say that we had this area here and we want it to kind of come out a little bit here. Not super much, but some. It's cool that these blocks were added to the game. I mean, I guess it's been a while ago, but these are pretty handy. And let's see, what can we put in there? So in the corner, we'll just keep it. Let's keep it like that. I think we'll have that straight piece. Oh, you know, this is screwed up though. This is down a half block here, so the turret, if there's a turret up top here, it would be floating on this thing. So we're gonna have to do something about that. Let's do like that, and it kind of neat if it looked kind of cool where the turrets sit too. A little block work underneath it, kind of thing. What if we went with something like this? Let's do the same thing on the back. And what about the sides? How about on the sides we try to go a little bit skinny here. Oops. Probably do that on this side too. And we could stick a turret there. The only thing I worry about, depending on the turret, not all turrets will overhang like this. Some are a little bit skinnier than others. But at least that turret kind of does have a little hangover, but hangover. But anyway, it's it'll work. But this will also provide a location on the bottom side, directly under it, to also mount a turret. And I think that would seal that off back over here with the blocks down there. Something like that. Okay, so now it's so far I think it's working. We'll see how it goes. Now as an overall width, I don't know if it should really get much wider than what it is here. In fact, I'm thinking about kind of tapering this in just a little bit. Again, just create a little fluctuation in the hull line, I guess. So we'll do that, and should it come in any more than that? Now let's just stay there right now. Let's see where this works. So let's go back. Well, let's go back a little bit there. Okay, so also up on this deck up here, we're going to have some elevated turret positions, kind of following that kind of wedge design sort of thing where you can get a lot of turrets on it. However, we do have some turret positions that do not need to be elevated since they're out of the way of that one. That could probably come back somewhere in these positions, maybe like there. And I'll try to do some fancy block work underneath those turrets eventually as well. Okay, so now the center area, maybe we'll keep it flat for another block or so, and then maybe try to raise it up a little bit discreetly here, kind of angled How about with this fairly smooth angle set again? But do I want? I'm not sure if I want to start that there or not, though. Basically, this will give us an elevated turret position. We could actually start it right there, or I might just ease it back a little bit. I don't know how many turret positions you really want on this thing. That's actually quite a few already, though. So we got some launchers already, and quite a number of turrets on the front area of the ship. Again, I don't want the ship to be super big, though. I kind of want to keep it dialed in. I'm not other features on the ship right now, unless people want it this way. I'm not really planning on having this one really have much of a hangar or much of production or any farm. I really did kind of want to keep it really quite focused around combat. Of course, it would have some utility function in there to kind of support that, some form of production, storage, ammo storage, that kind of thing. But yeah, if I keep it kind of smallish and use the interior room for parts instead of hangar space, it might be a good thing. Of course, I wouldn't mind being able to bring along some kind of like SV miner or smaller creations with it. Maybe one or two of those I think would be fitting. All right, so we've got some of that going on. Let's try to get some of this underhaul down, worked out, and also maybe try to figure out how some thrusters are going to work out on this. So with this build, being probably a good mid-tier type combat CV, I think I'm going to go right with these plasma type of thrusters here. They are considerably better than the ion versions of them. But I just want the I don't want the big drive thrusters in here, though. I'd rather just have the smaller ones. They are, let's see, these are 1440 CPU, 130 force. The big ones are quite a bit more, but a lot more CPU as well. Yeah, I don't really want this build to have this type on it. I don't think the ship's going to be big enough to justify that. But I also do not want the small ones. They're kind of, they're not near as efficient as the medium ones, basically, for CPU versus thrust power, even if upgraded. So let's try to get a couple of these somewhere in this area, maybe two. I do like the idea sometimes of having like a single reverse thruster, though, and this build could actually fit one there, but it'd be really nice if I could leave room for one of them. I'll just call them a super weapon. You know, those gigantic new RE2 weapons and guns and stuff, and I really have no good information on how cool they are. Do they justify their cost and things like that? They probably will. I don't doubt it, but I would like to have the option to be able to put one of those on this thing. If it doesn't, it probably will not come stock that way. That sort of works right now. Alright, so we want to angle this area in, trying to cover up some of these thrusters. Let's put in the one with a little bit of lip on it there. And we can kind of, oh, this is actually like half block realm here. Let's just fill a couple of these in for now and see what we're looking like. And when I build this too, I'm trying to make it look alright from different angles of the ship too, like the side profile and how it looks from the front and things like that. It's just one of those things I'm trying to consider. Now, the overall length of this ship, I don't exactly know what that's going to be. Let's take this part and let's do a little bit of like kind of some wire framing stuff here. And and try to plot out where it may have like some kind of bridge area. It's not going to be on the front of this one. Let's just say it kind of widens up somewhere in this area, and then it would of course elevate here as well to at least this height row, but maybe one above that. I'm just kind of trying to angle this as I go so I could put in some neat wedge blocks there to kind of get it all angly and stuff. Okay, so up here would be like the floor of the bridge. Oops. In that general area. Now over along the sides here, I did want to put in another elevated turret position that can shoot over the one in front of it. But I kind of want to do this as slick as, or as angly as I can, make it look cosmetically, hopefully a little bit better. So what would be a good way to do that? Let's use the same angle that I'm using here so it doesn't look out of place. And let's kind of build that up here. Something like that, but let's, well, that actually wouldn't need to be all the way up there if I'm going to fit another turret there. Alright. So here we will start another like 3x3 turret location here. Let's put a placeholder down. Something like that. So now we're getting a good line of turrets here. Of course, again, when you're using the ship in game, having some more turret mounts, even if the ship doesn't come stock with them, it's not a bad thing. It's just you can add in more CPU, more guns, more stuff. So definitely like to have those options. Now this part here is looking a little bit weird right now, but we'll see how that ties in later. Alright, so other thrusters and things. Strafing thrusters, something I ought to be thinking about now as well as lift thrusters. And we've got some areas back here. The thing is I wouldn't mind separating these parts with some blocks in between. And maybe these blocks will end up transforming into something tougher later too. And how the weight and everything kind of comes out on it. But I'm just kind of sealing some of these off right now on the inside. And then over here would be kind of a potentially good spot for a strafing thruster, kind of shooting out that way. Let's go with this full one here. Let's see what happens. But cosmetically speaking, I don't like it. It's not centered with this piece up above. And I can't do that because this other thruster's sucking up that area. Huh. Well, let's just modify this then so this just goes straight here a ways longer, which probably it needs to anyway with the hull designed the way it is. And then we can take that and we will just relocate it. How about in this spot instead? Let's try to put in a lift thruster here. Again, that's what I'm trying to do is get these thrusters. Like, I don't exactly know where the center of mass is going to be. Figure the ship be about yay long, so that would put the center of mass somewhere in this general region here. Just guessing right now. So these thrusters will be kind of pushed forward or away from that center of mass to hopefully have better stats with their pitch, yaw, and roll again. And I'm not so worried about having a lot of interior space or stuff like, well, kind of. Gonna need some shield parts and things, but Something like that could kind of work. Now there'll be another block on the bottom side here yet too. Let's just try to work that out a little bit right now. What I think would look kind of cool is if, yeah, let's let's use this set. We'll build another row down in here. That kind of starts from, ooh, that's just a half block there. How about like starts from here? Would that work out? I kind of wanted it to go from here and then kind of angle in, but that's kind of not quite right. Let's reverse this angle. Let's go the other direction with it and see what happens. How about we start there? So 2 over. Huh. Let's see what happens with this. I don't know if I like that. Kind of doesn't make it look much like a sailing ship that way, but you know, it's supposed to be a spaceship anyway. Some design elements from from like, you know, destroyers and things like that a little bit, very vaguely. All right, we just need to put in one of those there, I think. That would kind of seal it off on the bottom side. We got that big flat area down here now. Some lift thrust would be really nice to be in the vicinity, but again, combat ship specs, I would like a divider wall between these kinds of parts on this build. If it wasn't a combat ship, I wouldn't want to waste the extra blocks and space for this, but because it is a combat ship, I think it should be done. It would help prevent chain reactions, especially if these, again, if those blocks were a tougher type of block. Oh, but if I put it in that far, oh, I'm getting too far into the center. I can't even fit 2 across here. Oh, see, it would work great there, but that's pushing it next to the other one again, and that was kind of what I was trying to avoid here. But if I go in a row in, then it can't fit. I guess it would be nice to have some lift thrust up in the front of the ship, but you know, I could put the bulk of the lift thrust in the back of the ship and maybe just put something in here. Oh god, I didn't want to use the small ones, but these would work. I mean, just for what I'm trying to do here, they'd fit a whole lot better. And it probably isn't gonna, you know, it's not a cargo transport ship, so it probably wouldn't need to have like 4 of these things for lift. So maybe a couple of these smaller ones on the front and a couple of the bigger ones on the back. Maybe might be a good plan here. And how far away from the center could I get these things? And these won't be super important either. So if these things get blown out, the ones that I'm putting in now, it shouldn't be very catastrophic to the ship because its main lift thrust would be in the back of the ship. This is just kind of a lot to do with cosmetics. If you have a ship and it only has like lift thrust on the back, and you're taking off, they tend to look like they would just belly flop over because it doesn't make much logical sense to only have the thrusters in the back. You just lean forward and flop. So these are so close to the center and so close to the front of the ship too that I just don't like that location. But the further up I could put them, the better it will be. I guess I could just tie these in and just keep them out a little bit further, but touching the other thrusters here. God, I didn't want to do that. Oh, if I put it there, it's in between 3 different oh, that's a chain reaction nightmare. Ah, yeah. I almost wish the thing was a little bit wider at this point. And maybe it should be. It does look awfully kind of narrow now, doesn't it? Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that approach. That would make it easier to place these thrusters too. And honestly, it does look too narrow. So let's do a thing. Let me clear that cursor out, and we'll start copying 1 row away from center on this side. Scary thing about doing this kind of thing, especially like doing a video on it, is like I don't know how this is gonna come out. You know, it's one of those experimental thingies. Of course, with any build, with enough time and effort into it, you could fix it. But it's nice if you can get something working right off the gates. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do. Well, let's make sure I've got the blocks all selected properly. I think they are. Okay, so we're gonna do a cut and then a paste on this, and we'll have to repeat on the other side. And I just want to bring it out 1 block row right there. Let's see what happens with that, and let's repeat the same thing to the other side. Okay, so that yeah, okay, so that's not going to screw up things too badly up here. All our turps are still viable. And we just got a little bit more room here. Okay, so let's fill in all the stuff that was cut in there in a minute. And we already know all those blocks down there aren't needed. Oh, I probably ought to turn symmetry back on again. Alright, so that all widened up pretty good. So I'll do that a lot with building. It's pretty easy, it's pretty quick to do. And often, you know, when you're first building this, you don't, you know, often I find problems with the proportions and want to adjust those, and copying and pasting, moving things around and filling the blocks in between and stuff. Really is a good way to deal with that. So it makes it work out pretty good, and then you can kind of dial in your aesthetics as well. Okay, so let's over here. So we do have a block separation row here now, and they're sort of in the front of the ship. Again, these are, you know, you could almost consider these decoys because they're really not going to make much of a difference in the ship's performance, because it will have larger thrusters for lift in the back again. Speaking of that, how many hit points do these things have? Quite a bit. 14,625 for these. Not too bad. Then again, I don't exactly know how that translates to in Reforged Eden 2. How many hits you could take on that, depending on what's hitting you. So now I gotta evaluate if I like this angle curve here, or if it shouldn't be following the same angle, or one of the other angles kind of coming down here. That kind of makes it look not as shippy the way it is. Yeah, that's throwing it off. It really is. Let's not change this again. Sorry, wasn't really quite the look I was going for. And let's not use those. Let's go to these again and try to line that up so the outer edge here will move into these other areas, I guess. Maybe that should be done with a different angle. Maybe I should just match this angle with a different block. That probably is not a bad idea. Alright. How's that going to work out? Let's do... See, I can do the angle here with this block. Now let's try it. See how this rolls. And then up here, it's got to tie in to the other part. And actually, let's trim this out here too, and that one. Let's get a little angle going on up here. And then we can. Oh yeah, it's actually gonna merge pretty well with that other angle. Alright. Now up on the sides here, I'll do something like that. Just kind of square this off a little bit here. Kind of provide a area to put like some grates or something over that strafing thruster there too. Be kind of inset in there a little bit. Alright, and we still have, I'm kind of trying to keep this space open here because I think it'd be really cool again to get some of them big gun mount positions in here. That probably won't be stock again, but, and some of these, let's get one of these as an example so I know how big they actually are. And some of these are gigantic. My God, there's so many things. So many things. Missile launchers and stuff. God, they're probably all different sizes and shapes. Torpedo launchers. God, yeah, it's cool. Lots of toys, man. I got to get some gameplay time in, and some more testing though. I tell you, oh, these aren't. Oh, they are big. I was like, these aren't so big. Look, oh, but I'm looking at the bounding box. Why can't I flip it the other way? Oh, maybe that's how they work. Oh, that's right. I did hear, it was in comments too, that some of these, like this, needs space below it, so it'll like drop them and then they fire forward. That's not really what I was looking to mount there. Let's try a different gun. What was that gigantic thing? Oh yeah, this thing. I don't know what the heck this thing is. It's big. I don't need Wi-Fi right now. Get one of these out. Just make sure it can fit here somehow. Oh man, and that goes all the way up over by these thrusters. God, that thing's gigantic. Oh, look at that. It is still sticking way out the front of the ship. Okay, let's get rid of that block too. We can ease this back quite a bit more. Let's try all the way to there. Guess that kind of works. So we got some block room around it. Something like that there. Okay, so got the deck height here. Let's try to angle this up at some kind of slope. And try a 45 here. That's kind of how it's made to fit right now. So at this rate, let's just try to figure out how far back this thing's going to go. Like, say, and how big this tower. Let's just mock up the tower a little bit here, or the bridge. Okay, so we got a. Let's just say we got a glass row right there, and we'll go up a square above that, or block. So it'd be something like that going across the top. And we'll go back a little bit and probably start going downward. Let's do downward at a 22.5. That would kind of take it out to about that level there. Sounds like the ship would need to be a little bit longer, or I get rid of this 22.5 here. That does take up a lot of space. Just go with a 45. Something like that. And of course, keep in mind all these blocks up here would be kind of angled as well too, so it's not going to be like that big bulky thing there. Okay, so then in the back part of the ship, I also wanted some more things like this. And then got to deal with the thrusters and stuff like that too. Okay, so we're going to need a bunch of thrusters in the back of the ship. It would be kind of neat to at least try to come up with a plan for those. But let's see. Let's bring this back just a little bit more yet. And actually, back over here would be kind of a neat little place. Not to, I don't really want to hang around this ship, but like a landing pad would be useful, I think. All right, so let's figure out what's going on here. Let's grab some of these. And just, you know what? No, let's cheat. Let's just save a little time and cheat. And let's copy this thing. Oops. Let's try to clear the cursor out. And let's grab this chunk. What should happen though is this should be out further in the back, otherwise it's actually blocking the line of sight, sort of, from the front there. So if it was out, maybe, I don't know, a couple extra blocks out in that general vicinity, maybe, or maybe a little forward too, over there. Let's try that. And we're going to try to copy this. I'm going to try to do the flip thing here. And, uh-oh. Oh, what just happened there? I didn't tell it to paste it. Ah. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Copy. Paste, flip, move. Okay, now it's working right. And only one row out from there. Everything else should be lined up, I think. Okay, these blocks up here are bugging the crap out of me right now, so I want to make this all better looking. So let's get some blocks in here. Let's back this off to start with, put in some of those. And then for the sides, let's go with, I don't know if we want, we got two options here. You got this one. It's just got kind of that little flare out over there, which is kind of cool. Or we got one on this page, which is almost the same thing, but it's kind of square there. And I got symmetry off again. Darn it. Let's get these in. Let me spawn in one other ship, older one, Trebuchet. That Trebuchet started its build like this one too. I just want to get a grasp on how big it is compared to what I'm working on here. I think it's quite a bit bigger, which, yeah, this is way smaller than the Trebuchet. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't, again, I was trying to go for kind of a smaller build here and not something as big. Like the Trebuchet does the hangar and does, I think it even had a place for farm and all kinds of stuff in it. And it was a heavy ship and it's hard to move around and it sucks up a lot of CPU because of all that. So I think this might be a better plan here. Although I do like big ships, so I mean, one of these days I will probably the Giga Core. A new Giga Core might be the next big build. Okay, so along the sides over here, I kind of want to bulk this out a little bit more. We could change the angle and go into some more of these blocks like along here. Unless that's just too wide. But this is usually the time when I start actually really looking at it and trying to figure out if I like it or not. Not a lot of time sink into it compared to how long a full build will take at this point. I'm not so sure. I mean, again, not really what I quite envisioned. It's kind of bulkier up here than I was kind of planned on, but that makes sense for the kind of ship that it's trying to be with the thrusters in the front. Could try to scrap those thrusters on these reverse thrusters and again try to hang something in the back area of the ship and then taper this in more up here so it's not so bulky there. Could be an idea. Could also, it is technically, it can be done too where this whole bridge area could drop down another block row and still be able to see over the gun up here. Right now it just looks a little too tall versus its other dimensions, I think. Let's do another modification. Start copying here. Alright, let's just do a full-blown cut and we'll paste it and lower it down one. See what happens. Let's dial that in a little bit better. You know what other build this reminds me of now too? Is the old Asteria. This one. A little bit. This one's certainly a lot more roundish at the front, but it's got a lot of the same ideas going on. This one was going with a big single reverse thruster, and then your kind of wedge-shaped turret design here, and then it's got a bridge back over here, which is pretty low profile, just over these other turrets here. Now this Asteria also had a farm and a hangar and all that fun stuff in it too, so it would be also bigger. Looks like though, CPU wise, even though the Asteria has kind of a lot of guns on it, actually, it kind of looks like it would work out at a Core 9. I got about 50,000 left over. There's probably some parts cut out of here right now. And the thruster speed, how does this thing move? This build was a combat steel build. How does it actually move? As expected, not very good. Not very good at all. 13 strafing, yeah, 25 forward, 13 left. That's what you get for combat steel. But these would be the ion versions of the thrusters. So to upgrade all the thrusters to the plasma version, which would give it a whole lot more speed, that would require a whole lot more CPU to do that as well. So then it would be over. So, yeah, anyway. Keep on getting sidetracked here. Well, anyway, guys, yeah, I don't want the video to go too long, but this is kind of a groundwork at least. I think it needs a lot more dialing in for sure to get this kind of hull design in check. I'm questioning if I like it right now or not. That's another aspect. Cosmetically speaking, I mean, I think it's, you know, work out pretty good for like turrets and so far the thrusters and stuff like that. But I don't know if I like the looks of it. Is another thing. I like both the Asteria and the Trebuchet better in appearance wise on how this is sitting currently. But that doesn't mean that this couldn't look kind of cool. And maybe I ditch this. I don't know. Maybe I changed some things around on it a little bit, but I'll stop there. I'll try to keep on a combination of doing some work off screen and some work on screen on this one. We'll see how it comes out. And again, if you got any suggestions with some of these other builds over here, especially the one that probably had the most interest, which is this center one. Again, just to recap, the big problem I've got with it is just its overall shape and thruster placement. It's just really messed up what I had in mind for this ship, realizing that I just can't put thrusters anywhere where I'd want to with a shape like this, and that kind of was screwing it up, and that's why I started heavily modifying the shape so I could try to fit some more thrusters. And then I'm thinking, well, that's the same thing I ended up doing with this build, which worked out in the end, and maybe this one should kind of try to follow this kind of format as well. Having like some kind of thruster pods out the back and taking a lot of that off, and then getting rid of these side bulgy areas that were kind of put in place there for that. So that's a thing. And this is just kind of a weird setup here too on how I'm kind of hanging these turrets down. It really does cause a lot of problems further back in the ship, again with reverse thrust and turret line of sight positions and things like that. So yeah, just a rough build there. But all right, anyway, that's where this is at. Oh, last step. I always do this. Let's paint it. There we go. Yeah, it's painted now. So we'll just white box it out to get a little bit better look on it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think this one could have a good future. But it needs a lot more work yet. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you later.